There's a moment that happens to all of us. You're looking in the mirror, maybe after a long week, maybe after a long year, and someone says, "You look great." What's your secret? And you smile. You say thanks. But inside you're thinking, "I don't feel great. I feel exhausted. I feel older than I've ever felt." And yet somehow your face hasn't caught up. You still look like the version of yourself from 5 years ago, maybe even 10. And it confuses you because you know what you've been through. The late nights, the heartbreak, the pressure, the version of you that should be worn down by now. But you're not. And here's the truth nobody talks about. It's not about what you've been through. It's about what you refuse to carry with you. Some people wear every battle on their face. Others learn to let it go before it settles in. We've all been there, standing in front of that mirror, wondering how we're still standing. Let me tell you why some of us look younger than we should. It's not luck, it's a lesson. So let's be honest for a second. We live in a world obsessed with youth, with looking younger, with turning back the clock. Everywhere you look, someone's selling you something. A serum, a routine, a miracle ingredient you've never heard of that's apparently been used in some remote village for centuries. And look, I'm not here to tell you none of that works. Some of it probably does. But here's what I've learned after years of watching people age, studying how we communicate, how we carry ourselves, how we show up in the world. The people who look younger than they are, they're not doing something extra. They're doing something less. They've learned to subtract, to remove, to stop participating in the things that age you faster than time ever could. You want to know what ages people are? It's not the years, it's the weight. The emotional weight they refuse to put down. It's the grudges they carry like trophies. The need to be right in every argument. The inability to let a comment slide. The constant need for validation from people who don't even know them. It's the sleep they sacrifice because they're scrolling through other people's highlight reels at 2 in the morning. It's the stress they wear like a badge of honour because somewhere along the way they started believing that being busy means being important. All of that? That's what shows up on your face, in the tightness of your jaw, in the furrow between your brows that never quite smooths out anymore, in the dullness behind your eyes that no amount of concealer can fix. I remember sitting across from someone once who was in their late 30s but looked 50, not because of genetics, not because of bad luck, but because every single thing that had ever happened to them was still happening. They were still angry about something their ex said 3 years ago, still bitter about a promotion they didn't get, still replaying arguments in their head, coming up with better responses, sharper comebacks. And you could see it. You could see all of it written across their faces like a story they couldn't stop telling. And then there are others. People who've been through absolute hell, loss, betrayal, failure. The kind of things that should break you, that should age you overnight. But they don't look at it. They look calm, rested, younger than they have any right to be. And the difference? It's not what happened to them. It's what they refuse to let define them. Because here's the truth. Your body keeps score. Your face keeps receipts. Every time you hold on to anger, your body tenses. Your cortisol spikes. Your skin reacts. Every time you lose sleep over something you can't control, your cells don't regenerate the way they should. Every time you stress about what someone thinks of you, you're literally accelerating the aging process. Not in some abstract metaphorical way, in a real, measurable, biological way. So when people ask, what's the secret? How do you look so young? The answer isn't complicated. It's just uncomfortable. Because the secret is letting go. It's learning to stop carrying things that were never meant to be carried. It's realizing that most of the battles you're fighting don't actually matter. That most of the people you're trying to impress aren't even watching. That the validation you're chasing will never be enough because you're looking for it in the wrong place. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds nice. That sounds peaceful. But it's not that simple. I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. I can't just let everything go. And you're right, you can't. But you can stop carrying the things that don't serve you. You can stop holding on to anger that only hurts you. You can stop replaying conversations that are already over. You can stop checking your phone every 5 minutes to see if someone noticed you. You can stop sacrificing your rest for things that won't matter in a year. That's where everything started to change. When I realized that looking younger wasn't about adding something to my life. It was about removing the weight I've been dragging around for years without even realizing it. Let me ask you something. How much of your energy is spent reacting? Not living, not building, not creating, just reacting. Someone says something about you and suddenly you're up at night crafting the perfect comeback. Someone doesn't text back and you're analysing what you did wrong. Someone posts something online that feels like a dig and you're typing a response, deleting it, retyping it, wondering if you should hit send. This is where most people live, in the constant cycle of reaction. And the crazy part? They think they're doing something. They think responding means they're standing up for themselves. That silence means they're weak. That letting it go means they lost. But here's what actually happens when you live in reaction mode. You give away your power. Every single time. Because whoever can make you react controls you. Think about it. If I can say one sentence and ruin your whole day, who's really in control? If a comment from a stranger on the internet sends you into a spiral, who's winning? You've handed them the remote control to your emotions and they don't even know it. Most of them don't even care. They've already moved on. But you're still there, stuck in that moment, replaying it over and over. Your heart rate's up, your cortisol's spiking, your face is tense, and all because you couldn't let it go. This is what ages people, not the years. The emotional exhaustion of reacting to everything, of feeling like every comment, every opinion, every perceived slight deserves a response. It doesn't. Most of it doesn't even deserve your attention. But we've been conditioned to believe that silence is weakness, that not defending yourself means you're letting people walk all over you. So we react, we argue, we defend, we explain. And in doing so, we shrink, because every time you react, you're confirming that what they said mattered, that it got to you, that they have access to your peace. Silence, real silence, is the opposite. It's not avoidance. It's not fear. It's a redirect. It's taking all that energy you would have wasted on a pointless argument and putting it somewhere that actually matters, into your work, your goals, your rest, your growth. Silence is you saying, without saying a word, that your peace is worth more than proving a point. But let's be real, staying silent is hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever learn to do, because there's a voice in your head that screams at you to respond, to defend yourself, to set the record straight, to make sure people know the truth. And that voice is loud. It tells you that if you don't say something, people will think you're guilty or weak or that you don't care. So you start typing. You start explaining. You start building your case piece by piece, making sure every word is sharp enough to hit back. There was someone I knew who worked in an office where gossip spread faster than emails. One day, they overheard a colleague twisting something they'd said in a meeting, making it sound like they'd taken credit for someone else's idea. The lie spread. By lunchtime, Half the team had heard a version of the story that painted them as selfish and manipulative. And the instinct, the immediate gut-level instinct, was to walk into that room and correct it. To pull people aside one by one and explain what actually happened, to defend their character, to make sure everyone knew the truth. But they didn't. They sat with it. They let the discomfort sit in their chest like a stone. They went home that night feeling like they'd lost something by staying quiet, like silence had made them smaller. But here's what happened next. The person who spread the lie. They kept talking, and the more they talked, the more people started to notice the inconsistencies. The more defensive they became, the less believable they became. Meanwhile, the person who stayed silent, they just kept working, kept showing up, kept doing what they always did, and within a week, the truth settled itself. Not because they fought for it, but because they didn't. People respect consistency. They respect calm. And when you don't react, you give them space to see the situation clearly, without your emotion clouding it. That's restraint, and it's not easy. It feels like swallowing fire, but it works. The first time you choose silence over reaction, it feels strange, almost wrong, like you've left something unfinished. You walk away from the argument and your mind keeps going back, replaying what you should have said, what you could have said, how you should have handled it differently. You question yourself. Did I just let them win? Did I look weak? Did I miss my chance to stand up for myself? And for a few hours, maybe even a few days, it gnaws at you. But then something shifts. You start to notice that the situation didn't get worse. In fact, it got better. The person who tried to provoke you eventually moved on. The drama that could have escalated just faded. And you didn't lose sleep. You didn't waste energy. You didn't say something you'd regret later. You kept your dignity. And that's when it hits you. Silence isn't weakness. It's strength in its most controlled form. It's you deciding that your peace matters more than their perception, that your energy is too valuable to spend on something that won't matter next week. This is the turning point. The moment you realize that you don't have to respond to everything, that not every comment deserves your breath, that walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you chose yourself. And once you feel that shift, once you experience the power of not reacting, it changes you. You start seeing opportunities to remain silent everywhere. In traffic when someone cuts you off. In conversations when someone's clearly trying to bait you. In group settings when someone's wrong, but convinced they're right. You stop feeling the need to correct every misunderstanding, to win every argument, to make sure everyone sees your side, because you realize something most people never do. Your worth isn't determined by how well you defend yourself. It's determined by how well you protect your peace. Now, here's where it gets deeper. Silence isn't just about keeping your mouth shut. It's about mastering the emotional storm inside you. Because staying silent on the outside is easy. What's difficult is staying silent on the inside, not letting the anger loop, not letting the frustration take root, not spending hours mentally arguing with someone who's already forgotten the conversation. That's the real discipline. Emotional control, mental fitness, the ability to feel something and not let it dictate your actions. Most people are controlled by their emotions. Something happens, they feel a certain way, and they react accordingly. Someone disrespects them, they feel anger, they lash out. Someone ignores them, they feel insecure, they chase validation. Someone challenges them, they feel threatened, they become defensive. It's automatic. It's unconscious. And it keeps them stuck in the same patterns for years. But silence forces you to break that cycle. It forces you to sit with discomfort, to feel the anger without acting on it, to notice the insecurity without trying to fix it immediately. And that space, that gap between feeling and reacting, that's where growth happens. That's where you build inner stability. Think about athletes. The best ones aren't the ones with the most talent. They're the ones with the most control, the ones who can stay calm under pressure. Who can take a hit and not lose focus? Who can hear the crowd booing and still execute the play? That's emotional discipline, and it's the same in life. The people who look younger, who seem unbothered, who carry themselves with quiet confidence, they've trained themselves to stay steady, to not be shaken by every comment, every rejection, every disappointment. They've built an internal foundation that doesn't crack under pressure. And that foundation is built through repetition, through choosing silence over reaction, again and again, until it becomes your default, until calm becomes your identity. But let me be honest with you about something nobody talks about. Silence can feel lonely. When you stop reacting, when you stop engaging in the drama, when you stop defending yourself every time someone says something wrong, people notice, and not always in a good way. Some people will think you've changed, that you're distant, that you don't care anymore. They'll say you're being cold, detached, that you've lost your spark. And part of you will want to go back, to prove that you're still the same person, to jump back into the noise just so you feel connected again, because silence can feel isolating. When everyone around you is reacting, arguing, venting, defending, and you're just still, it can feel like you're on the outside looking in, like you're missing something, like maybe you're doing it wrong. And here's the hard truth. You might lose some people, not because you did anything wrong, but because your energy shifted, and not everyone can match that. Some people are addicted to chaos, to drama, to the constant back and forth. And when you stop participating, they don't know what to do with you. So they pull away, or they try to pull you back in. They'll test you, push your buttons, try to get a reaction. And if you don't give it to them, they'll label you boring, stuck up, too serious. Let them. Because what you're building is worth more than their approval. You're building peace, clarity, self-respect. And yes, it might feel cold at first, but on the other side of that loneliness is something most people never experience. Freedom. The freedom to move through life without being controlled by other people's opinions, without being dragged into arguments that don't matter, without carrying emotional weight that was never yours to carry. And when you get there, when you finally experience what it feels like to be truly unbothered, you'll realize that the loneliness wasn't real. It was just the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And then something interesting happens. The world starts responding to you differently. People who used to test you stop. People who used to provoke you lose interest. Because you're no longer giving them what they want. You're no longer feeding the dynamic. At work, you stop getting pulled into office politics. People stop coming to you with gossip because they know you won't engage. And at first, you might think you're being left out. But what's actually happening is that you're being respected. Because respect doesn't come from how loud you are. It comes from how stable you are. From how unbothered you remain when everyone else is losing it. I've seen it happen over and over. Someone learns to remain silent, to stop reacting, to stop defending every little thing, and within weeks, the energy around them shifts. Colleagues start listening when they speak because they know it's going to be intentional. Friends stop bringing drama to them because they know it won't be entertained. Even strangers respond differently. There's a presence that comes with silence, a weight, not in an intimidating way, but in a grounded way. People sense it. They don't always know what it is, but they feel it, and they adjust. In relationships, silence creates space. Instead of filling every moment with words, with reassurances, with explanations, you let things breathe. You stop over-communicating. You stop trying to convince someone of your worth. And either they see it or they don't. Either they respect your peace or they reveal themselves. And that clarity, that's priceless. Because you stop wasting time on people who only value you when you're performing, when you're proving, when you're chasing. Silence filters out the noise. It shows you who's real and who's just there for the show. And once you see that, once you experience the shift, you can't unsee it. You start moving differently, choosing differently, protecting your energy like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. Here's what silence gives you that nothing else can. Perspective. When you're constantly reacting, you're too close to the situation. You're in it. Emotionally tangled, unable to see clearly. But when you step back, when you choose to observe instead of engage, everything changes. You start seeing patterns. You notice how people operate, how they manipulate, how they project, how they repeat the same cycles over and over. And you're no longer part of it. You're watching, learning, growing. Think about it. How many times did reacting make the situation better? How many arguments did you win that actually changed anything? How many times did you prove your point and feel satisfied afterward? Probably not many, because most arguments aren't about truth. They're about ego, about being right, about not backing down. And when you remove yourself from that game, you see how pointless it all is. You see how much energy people waste trying to convince each other of things that don't matter, trying to defend positions they don't even care about that much, just because they can't stand the thought of being wrong. But you've learned something better. You've learned that being right doesn't matter if it costs you your peace. That winning an argument means nothing if you lose your calm in the process. Silence makes you an observer. And observers see things participants miss. They see the bigger picture, the long game, the truth beneath the noise. And that awareness, that's what keeps you young. Because you're not being worn down by every little thing. You're not aging yourself with stress that doesn't serve you. You're choosing clarity over chaos. And that choice shows in your face, in your energy, in the way you carry yourself. So what does it look like when you finally master this? When silence isn't something you force, but something you embody. It looks like freedom. Real freedom. Not the kind people talk about on social media. Not the kind that's loud and performative, but the quiet kind. The kind that lets you sleep at night, that lets you walk into a room and not need anything from anyone. That lets you hear criticism and not crumble, hear praise and not inflate. It's emotional independence. It's the ability to exist without needing constant validation, without needing to be seen, heard, understood, or agreed with. You just are. And that's enough. People mistake silence for passivity. They think it means you don't care, that you've given up, that you're letting life happen to you. But it's the opposite. Silence is active. It's intentional. It's you choosing every single day not to waste your energy on things that don't deserve it. It's you protecting your peace like it's sacred. Because it is. Mastery of stillness doesn't mean you never speak. It means you speak with purpose. You don't fill the air with words just to fill it. You don't explain yourself to people who aren't listening. You don't defend yourself to people who've already made up their minds. You save your voice for moments that matter. And when you do speak, people listen because they know it's coming from a place of clarity, not emotion, not ego, not desperation, just the truth. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop chasing, things come to you, opportunities, relationships, respect, because people are drawn to calm, to stability, to someone who doesn't need anything from them. Silence isn't the absence of power. It is power, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself, the kind that just is. And when you finally understand that, when you finally live that, everything changes. And that's when silence finally spoke louder than anything else.